Last thing that we have to do is make our Q class. So class Q, and then its generic type, because we're going to be passing multiple different things in here. We can do integers, characters, whatever. It's super generic. And the code for this is going to be similar for our stack because they are quite similar. However, they do have some key differences in the way they operate, which is why we have to code something new for it. First thing that we're going to want to do is make our private variables. We're going to have our private list node just as we did with our stack. Still generic type, and this is going to be our head. Unlike the stack where we're adding to the front, the Q adds to the back. So we are going to need to get the back of our Q. We're going to do a private. This will also still be a list node type generic, and then we're going to have back. Lastly, we need to do size. So we will have private int size. And just like previously, we are going to need a constructor for our variables. So we are going to have a public Q. Constructor is always the same name as the class. We are not passing anything as parameters. And then inside of here, we're going to set head equal to null because we have nothing in it. We are also going to set back equal to null because we also have nothing in it. And then size is equal to 0 because we don't have anything in it. The first thing that I'm going to do is make a add method, and this will add the data into our queue. We're going to be passed in some data. So we are going to have a void because we're not returning anything. It's going to be a public void, and we'll call it add. We're passing in t data. And just as previously, whenever we add something, we're going to have size plus plus. We're going to want to make a temporary node to pass our data into, and then append that node to our list. So we're going to have list node. It's going to be of type t. We'll call it temp and set it equal to a new list node, type t. The values that we are passing in is data and also null. So that is our temporary null. And if our queue is empty, we're going to have to add it to the front. That's the only time where we're going to add to front. So we'll say if head is equal to null. And I'm also going to change this back from back to tail just to keep in the theme of linked list, because head is the front, tail is the back. So we're going to have if our head is equal to null and also our tail is equal to null. That means our list is obviously empty. And then what I'm going to do is take our head and set it equal to the new list, which only has one thing in it, but that's okay. And it's temp. And then I'm also going to set the tail equal to temp as well. So that is if we have nothing in our queue. If our queue is not empty, we are going to be inner else statement, and we're going to do something similar to what we've done here. We are going to set our tail dot next equal to the temp value, and then we're going to set our actual tail equal to the temp value. And that is how we would code the method for our and. Next, we need to see if our queue is empty or not. This is going to be a boolean, so we will have a public boolean. We're going to see if it is empty, so is empty, and we're not passing anything in here. We're just going to return if our size is equal to 0, and I explained why that is before. So the methods we have are add, constructor, and the is empty. Last thing that I'm going to do to really complete our class is to have a remove. And this is going to remove from the front of the list or the front kind of our queue. That's how queues work. So since we're removing something, we are going to have to return, because remove also returns kind of just like a pop, a type. So we will have a public generic type t, and it's called removed. We're not passing in anything, and then we are going to be inside of this method. If we remove something, we're going to have a size minus minus. And just as we did with the pop, we are going to manipulate the head of our list or front of the queue. So we want to store the current front because we are going to be returning it, and then since we are removing it, we are going to set the front equal to the next value. So we need to make a generic type. This could be string, int, character, whatever, and we're going to call it temp. We're then going to set it equal to head.data. This is going to give us the head of our list and store it in the front. After we have this set, what we're going to want to do is set our head equal to the next value because we've removed the front value. So head is equal to head.next. And then all we're going to want to do is return the temp, which is holding the head. And that is it for this method. And we can close off our class because our Q class is now complete.